us online at arrowtermiteandpestcontrol.com to schedule your free inspection. When the bugs gotta go, call Arrow Termite and Pest Control.
Drive a European vehicle? Check out VexEuropean.com. This year, Vinny and his team are celebrating 10 years in business. That's a full decade worth of pairing you with a master-level technician for your make of vehicle. Again, that's V as in Vinny, VexEuropean.com.
Insurance companies have teams of professionals to fight your claim. If you want to know what your case is really worth, I'm Spencer Callahan. I'd like to help.
Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
LA filing number 16-7970.
WNXX Jackson, KNXX Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers. LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Friday. It means we're brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Got Jordan Kitchens and Taylor Sharp back there on the ones and twos, working towards the weekend. I hope the work week is in the rearview mirror. If it's not, we'll get you to the finish line here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Preston Guy in 15 minutes talking LSU spring football. Zachary Sim covers Texas for orangebloods.com. He's going to be with us 30 minutes from right now. Talk about a huge weekend between LSU and Texas over at Dish Falk Field in Austin. It's March Madness. We'll talk a little bit about that. Saints odds to win the NFC South and what that honestly means about the approach of the organization. We'll do some of that. It's a big weekend in SEC baseball. So loads and loads to do. We appreciate you being with us. Lock us in for the next 2 hours. We'll start this thing the way we start every single show with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
We're gonna start with LSU and Texas from Dish Falk because this is a big weekend for LSU. LSU got off to a great start last weekend and got a sweep of Missouri. That was what you needed to get done right out of the chute. And now it starts to get really real because I still believe that Missouri is the worst team in the league. I could be proven wrong, but feel pretty good about that. Texas is not the worst team in the league. The Longhorns are in year one under Jim Schlossnagle, but they played really well last weekend and swept Mississippi State. They had won 17 games in a row prior to Tuesday when they lost an extra inning game. And their fan base is going to be rocking and rolling at Dish Falk for this one. You've got a national power coming in if you're Texas. These are two of the biggest brands in the sport's history. Texas' basketball team is done, so nothing to lock in on this week there. And they've got a baseball team that's 3-0 in a new league. So this is going to be a really hostile environment for LSU the first time all year. You're talking about an LSU team that did go to Dallas and Frisco, but played in front of home crowds over there. LSU baseball flooded Frisco and kind of took over that stadium on Friday and Saturday before kind of a sleepy crowd on Sunday. So you're going to be facing the toughest competition you've seen all year in the toughest environment you've seen all year. It's time to learn something about this LSU team. And I want to focus to start kind of on Texas and what they are offensively. We'll talk about their pitching in hour number 2, and I certainly want to get to that with Zachary Sim because there are a couple of relievers that I don't have a real status on for this weekend, and I want to get his thoughts before I dive too deep into that pitching. But I do have a good feel for Texas offensively, and I want to talk about that as we match them up with LSU's pitching. And if you don't remember anything I say about a Texas offense the rest of the segment, this is something to keep in mind. Texas is the most patient offense in the Southeastern Conference. It is not necessarily shown up in their walk numbers. They don't have substantial walk numbers. I've got them right here. Let's look. Yeah, they're next to last in the SEC in walks. They've only drawn 98. By comparison, LSU has drawn 140. So it's not the walks. It's the patient approach, and that is something Jim Schlossnagle preaches. And here's how they do it. They swing at the first pitch less frequently than anyone in the Southeastern Conference. They will get up there and take a pitch or two. They're okay hitting from behind in the count. They're going to work counts, and by that nature, work pitchers and get into teams' bullpens. College bullpens are not good. That's a general rule. There are some teams that have strong bullpens, the elites in the country, but most teams don't have 6 really good pitchers. And 2 of them are definitely going to be the first 2 guys in the rotation. Texas is banking on, Jim Schlossnagle is banking on working a starting pitcher's pitch count up and getting into the bullpen. That's what they want to do. LSU has struggled with command the last 4 weeks, really. It was awesome the first weekend, but it got sideways on them the last month, really. And that's been the most concerning thing, and it bit them a little bit against Missouri last week when they were walking a few too many guys. When you look at the walk numbers as far as the SEC is concerned with LSU, they're too many. They're 13th in a 16-team league. So Texas is going to force LSU to throw the ball over the plate, and LSU is going to have to do that. That is key number 1 for LSU this weekend, is to throw the ball over the plate, because if you don't, you will be behind 1-0, you'll be behind 2-0, you'll get these guys into hitters' counts, and you're going to have an opportunity here where they're going to be swinging away and getting into your bullpen. That you cannot have if you're LSU. LSU's bullpen is pretty deep. I like LSU's bullpen, especially with the first 4 guys, with Benj and with obviously what you've seen from Case and Evans, and I like obviously Zach Calvin. They've got some guys, but you don't want to tax that early and often. So you got to throw strikes. Texas is going to take pitches. Now, then beyond that, statistically, Texas' lineup has not been overwhelming. Their batting average is 10th in the SEC. Their on base is 13th. Their scoring is 14th. Their walks are 15th. Their strikeouts per game are up there, 4th most. That's a good matchup for LSU, who strikes out more batters than anybody in the Southeastern Conference. And Texas doesn't hit a lot of home runs. They're 10th in the SEC in home run hitting. So all of those metrics are in double digits in a 16-team league. 10th in batting, 13th on base, 14th runs, 15th walks, 10th home runs. But it starts with throwing the ball over the plate. And if LSU can do that, they'll strike Texas out a little bit, and they should be able to pitch in a big Dish Falk field that plays big. It's a pitcher-friendly ballpark, and they should be okay. There's not much star power in this Texas lineup right now. There's not an Ivan Melendez, the one of the great nicknames in all of sports history, specifically college baseball history, the Hispanic Titanic. Ivan Melendez, not one in there. They don't have one of those. Rylan Galvin has 7 home runs. He's got 3 in his last 4 games. Ethan Mendoza's hitting .406. There are good hitters, but it's not an overwhelming lineup. So for LSU, you got to pitch to contact and trust your defense. There is no reason for LSU to nibble and to not throw strikes, because you've got 2 incredible security nets for your pitchers to throw strikes. One, your defense is great. It's great. You've got as good an up-the-middle defense in the middle of the infield as you could possibly have. You've got a great center fielder most of the games in Stanfield. Curiel's a plus defender in left field. You haven't had really any issues over at third base outside of Tanner Reeves kicking 2 balls early. You've got a good defense. And your offense scores a lot. So it's not like you have to be terrified to give up a 2-run homer if you're LSU's pitching staff. Sure, you don't want to give up a 2-run homer, but LSU's going to score some runs. LSU's among the most potent offenses in the conference. They lead the SEC in batting average. They're second in the SEC in on-base percentage. They're putting up a ton of runs. What are you scared of if you're LSU's pitching staff? And I don't know if LSU's walk issues or control issues are a function of lack of command or approach, but if there's any of it that's approach-based, scrap that. Let your defense work and let your offense go score runs. Don't just give the opposition some help. And Texas will feast on that in their home ballpark if you give them a little bit of help. The most important pitch that LSU will throw all weekend long is strike 1. And you can work from there. You've got a pitching staff that leads the conference in strikeouts. The stuff is there. It's not an issue of not having stuff. But you've got to get some depth. Texas feasts on bullpens. And last week, you know this, you got 3 2/3 from Ianson and 3 2/3 from Shores. That dog will not hunt. It hunts Missouri. As I said on Monday, I wrote in my LouisianaSports.net column recapping the weekend. I said, LSU did not pitch at a championship level over the weekend. LSU pitched at a sweet Missouri level over the weekend, which was good enough last weekend. But sweet Missouri level pitching in Austin, you're probably going to lose 2 out of 3. And that's not the goal. You got to try to go over there and win a series. So from this perspective, like, this is, I think, a huge key in this weekend is LSU's ability to throw the ball over the plate. I mean, just look back at the one loss LSU has on the entire season. You played Omaha. Some of you may not even remember how they lost that game. I think what stands out is that they had 17 pop-ups and couldn't score runs. Like, that's the biggest deal. They stormed back and scored 4 in the 9th in that game. But how did Omaha build a lead? Well, you went to the bullpen and you hit the first 2 guys you saw, and then they had a 3-run homer later in the inning. That's how you lost. It was one swing, but it was exacerbated because you hit 2 guys. Don't do it. If LSU makes this Texas team that is 10th in the SEC in hitting and 13th in on-base percentage, if you make them earn everything they get in a pitcher-friendly ballpark with the way that you defend and with the way you strike batters out, they're not going to go nuts offensively. But they can if you issue 7 free bases in one game. And that's been the issue for LSU. So I'm going to talk a lot about this series over the next 2 hours. We're going to get into it with Texas Ryder in 25 minutes, and then I'm going to break down LSU's offense in the second hour against Texas pitching staff, which has done a pretty good job this year with limited talent based on what Jim Schloss think will eventually get there. But the biggest key to this entire weekend, based on LSU's issues and Texas's offensive approach, get ahead in counts. Texas will not beat LSU consistently living in 0-1, 0-2, 1-2 counts. That is the statistic that's boiled down to. So that's how we will start this thing with our Genesis opening drive. Our Friday show is brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. It's a Lenten Friday. If you're looking for a po' boy, looking for a catfish platter, shrimp platter, they got you covered over at Cork's. They're on Government between Foster and Jefferson. Go by, see them, see Paul and Michael, the owners. Tell them the Hunt Palmer Show sent you over there. It's fantastic food. You can get in and out via the drive-thru. You can sit in their newly remodeled seating area inside as well. And if you're feeding a whole crew, whether you got a family reunion, whether you're tailgating out the box sometime next week, whether you're feeding the office, whatever the case may be, birthday party, they can help you over there at Cork's. Got great catering orders as well. Big jumbo Gulf shrimp, crispy fried catfish, shoestring fries. It is all to die for over there at Cork's. Check out the menu, corksfishandshrimp.com. When we come back, we'll shift focus over to LSU spring football. Preston Guy, TigerBait.com will be with us. That's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com. I tell you about genesisofbatonrouge.com every day. It's a great resource because every car that they've got on the lot is online. So you can start your process from the comfort of your own desk, your own home at genesisofbatonrouge.com. Browse that inventory. You can check out all the features, all the models they have, the pricing, all of that, and that can kind of ease you in. But I highly, highly suggest you go stop by the dealership. I know that a lot of folks have had bad experiences on dealership lots. Their stereotypes exist for a reason. You can get a pushy salesperson. You can feel like you're being taken advantage of. Those are common feelings when you go onto an auto dealership lot. You're never going to feel that at Genesis. They're on Airline at Piku. You go by. It's a wonderful state-of-the-art building, and their line of vehicles is fantastic. Their brand ambassadors on staff are exceptional as well. They'll help you through the process. You'll feel like a guest, not a customer. Get behind the wheel of a Genesis and feel that difference. I'm telling you that most of you have not driven a Genesis. That's just the case because it hasn't been around all that long. Certainly not been Baton Rouge all that long. Put it on your list. Go by and see them. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. You can find that entire inventory online at genesisofbatonrouge.com.
You work hard every day to pursue a life you love. You put in the time, and it shows. You're forging ahead, chasing a dream, creating something better for the ones you love. You're building your own life. So why not build your own tractor? With John Deere tractors and attachments for almost any need, the Sunshine team can help you do just that. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road,
Hunt Palmer, lover of LSU, Shreveport, and mayonnaise on hot dogs. The Hunt Palmer Show.
Friday show is brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Watching some March Madness here in the studio. Got Memphis and Colorado State going at it. And there's a game, Baylor and Mississippi State, that are coming down to the wire. I don't know what I can't read the scores. Is it 69-67? Is that right there? It's like Baylor may have a 2-point lead, but my eyes are not good. That is right. Okay, so Baylor got a 2-point lead, under 2 minutes to go there. So we'll see if Coach Jans and company can get it done against Baylor. Let's talk some LSU football. Preston Guy, TigerBait.com, is with us every Friday. Joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Preston, how are you?
Hey, Hunt, how's it going?
Going quite nicely. Appreciate a little bit of time here on this Friday. Let's talk a little bit of LSU football. Offensive line, thoughts on where you see guys working, freshmen that could be potential breakout players. What have you seen for a week and a half of spring ball?
Yeah, I mean, early on, fans are not excited about the unit they're rolling out there in the ones, but as you and I have seen, they are rotating. I mean, a lot of guys out there, man. I severely doubt the unit of all returning players that we're seeing out there will even be the unit we see for the spring open practice, I guess is what we're going to call it now. Boy, I hope they take Coach Prime's lead and do a cross practice with another team soon, because that's going to be way more entertaining if they line that up. But that being said, they're rotating a ton of guys in and out of there. Solomon Thomas and Carius Kern are two guys who, as true freshmen, stand out as physically intimidating, and they look the part of true freshmen that were ready to plug and play. That being said, they have a lot of players, and it's going to be, I think a lot of these position battles are going to be tightly contested between guys like Bo Bordelon and Solomon Thomas. You know, which one of them? I mean, talking about a guy who's been there 3 years versus a guy who just got there, but one seems to have more upside. There's just a lot of battles like that. And then, Braylon Moore at the center position. Maybe he's not quite as big as some of the other guys, but he certainly seems to be the more polished, true center out there. I'd be surprised if he doesn't work his way into a starting spot. So I think they have the guys ready for offensive line. They just really need to work on who are the right ones for the right spots and work on chemistry with one another.
Do you believe the running game is going to look different next year in terms of what they're trying to accomplish?
Well, hopefully by different, it's effective this year. You couldn't get all that much worse than last year. I think a big part of it is the running back room is going to be improved. You're going to have less injuries. You're not going to have a banged up. I say hopefully you're not going to have a banged up Caden Durham this year, but the offensive line. Hopefully, I think last year they were very good pass blockers, but a lot of them were one-dimensional linemen just based on what the results you saw. So hopefully there's a little more nastiness and grittiness, but I don't think systematically they're going to be changing with. I don't think we're going to see a bunch of stuff under center where they're lining up with a fullback ready to ground and pound. I think it's going to be a similar approach to the running game, just very different personnel and hopefully healthy personnel.
I mean, we did see a little bit under center in the first practice that we saw, and then we have seen them running a lot of 12 personnel with Bauer Sharp and Tradez Green on the field at the same time. Do you expect to see some two tight end sets?
Well, we saw a lot of that last fall camp, didn't we, Deb? That's nothing new in practice that we see. In fact, I remember goal line formations. We saw a whole unit, and it's like, well, they didn't really pan out. Now, I do think the 12 personnel they're rolling with, I think they're going to be using that a lot. I think they really like what they've got in Tradez and Bauer Sharp, both as threats. But, I mean, make no mistake, they're going to mix in some four-wide sets. I mean, they have a deep, talented receiver room and a quarterback ready to use these guys. So I wouldn't say that 12 is all they're going to run, but there's going to be a good bit of that. I just hope that they can use that formation to – give you some more physicality in the run game, because that's really what they lacked a year ago.
Well, let's play hypotheticals. It's spring. So last year LSU was the best third down offense in the conference. They were like 4th or 5th in total offense. They were 1st in completions and right up there in passing. They were just missing the running game and the red zone component from being a really complete offense, but they've still got a lot of the pieces from that offense. Can they be? They're going to be? Can you win significantly with a pass first offense? And then if not, like what they were last in the conference in rushing. What do they need to be a complete enough team? 6th, 8th, 10th?
I don't know about 6, 8. I don't know where they need to rank, but I do know this. Okay. That offense was just so close to being great at times last year. I think inconsistencies at the receiver spot held you back. I think turnovers from Nussmeier, particularly, the multi-turnover games like against Texas A&M, that held you back, right? But you hit for most of the year, you hit the nail on the head. They got tons of yardage, and then they would get in the red zone and just start shooting themselves in the foot, And I think that goes hand in hand with having a consistent running game. I can't tell you how much being able to rely on getting 3 yards consistently, that just helps your team so much. And last year you really couldn't rely on that. I would, if I had to guess, I would probably say 1 out of 3 runs got you less than 3 yards last year, which is just not ideal. You really need to be converting that 3 yards at a high level. And that makes your offense move with more consistency, because it's just that's all it was last year. It's just lack of consistency in that running game. And if you can fix that, look, I think the rest of it will work itself out if you can have a balanced and effective approach in your offense. But that being said, yes, you can be pass first. I mean, 2019, that was a pass first offense, but when Clyde got the ball, you know what? Clyde did big things in the running game. He ran for 1,400 yards that year. So absolutely, yes.
What do you think Harlem Berry's role? Actually, let me ask it a different way. If you were in charge, what would you like to see Harlem Berry's role in the offense coming up?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of good backs that, you got to consider with him here. You got to think about, how does Caden Durham play into the role? is Caleb Jackson going to be physically back up? His acceleration last year just really held him back. And, of course, we all thought he was due for a breakout season, and the opposite happened. He got relegated to, a role player last year, if even that. But I think Caden Durham will be your number one. I think he's more ready for inside the tackles. But in terms of Harlem Berry, I would use him in third down situations. I would use him as a change of pace guy. He is nimble and light on his feet, although he probably doesn't have the top end speed that Caden Durham has. He's a longer strider. And particularly, he's really good receiving out of the backfield too as well. So I would use him more of a third down back, and I would use Caden Durham as your primary back. And frankly, I'd use Caden Durham as your physical back. When you need to, get short yardage, go Caden Durham because he's small, but he's built muscly. He's got that Maurice Jones-Drew energy to him where he'll lower a shoulder and go into a guy. Whereas I think Harlem Berry probably physically isn't there yet where he's lowering a shoulder and running guys over yet.
Yeah, Caden Durham, I don't think if you looked at him on the roster, you would think a guy that can run between the tackles. But he's a strong dude when he gets in there, and he showed that. I think especially against South Carolina last year when he kind of broke out, and they had a heck of a time trying to tackle him. Last part on the offense here, and we'll let you go. We appreciate a little bit of time. Garrett Nussmeier talking about winning national championships earlier this week. How do you feel about his mental state here and kind of what you expect from him in his last year?
I mean, look, man, interviews and what to say and mindset and work ethic. Nussmeier has always checked off those boxes, man. I mean, he's a coach's son. He's going to have a good leadership mentality. I mean, look, that's never been the concern for me. It wasn't a concern last year. No, I mean, when was the last time someone came to you and was like, man, Nussmeier, I just don't know if he's ready to lead this team yet. Nussmeier, man, I just don't know if he's, really checked in and dialed in. No, I mean, he's a coach's son, and he's going to have that mindset, and that's going to be a big advantage for your football team. So, look, I think he's got the right. And, look, sometimes it's good to say some confident things like that. A lot of people gave Joe Burrow some smack when, at media days, he's out there saying, don't be surprised when we hang 40, 50, and 60 points in games. And guess what he did in his first 3 games? He scored 45, 55, and 65 points. So, I love that little air of confidence, not what's the word
Cockiness.
for it? Not being cocky and arrogant, I guess is what I'm going for, which you do see some guys around the country who go straight into that arrogance where they're, disrespecting other people, and I like what I'm seeing out of Nuss.
How do you feel about the comparison to Joe Burrow's 5th year and to Jaden Daniels' 5th year when people look at Garrett Nussmeier's 5th year?
I don't know that it's a fair comparison.
Yeah.
I think that we've seen 2 of the best 5th-year breakouts that we've ever seen from players in any, situation. It's just wild, and to expect that out of Nussmeier is probably not fair. But how about this one? Zach Mettenberger in 2013, he went from 12 touchdowns, 7 interceptions with 2,600 yards, and he threw for 22 and 8 the next year. Had a really good year. That offense was really sharp for him. So a jump like that, let's aim for that. Let's aim. And he was probably better than Mettenberger even was in 2013 last year, probably.
Oh, he definitely was.
4,000 yards. So, but that jump is what I'm getting at. Like, let's see. Okay, you threw 26 touchdowns and you threw, 4,000 yards. Let's see if we can go for 4,500 and work those touchdowns up to, maybe 35, 40, and at the same time cut those interceptions back. Let's cut those interceptions in half. That's the kind of jump I think is realistic or reasonable to look for Nussmeier. I don't think if you're looking for him to have 65 touchdowns and 6,000 yards like Joe did, we're probably all going to be disappointed because there's one person in college in Power 5 history to ever do that.
Is that number right for Mettenberger? He threw 22 touchdowns his last year. Are you confident in that?
22 and 8, and I think he had 2,950 something yards.
Just think about what we went through there from a span of 6 years, where we went from thinking Mettenberger was slinging it all over the yard for 22 touchdowns, and 6 years later, Burrow threw 60. That's hard for me to even grasp mentally. That's where we went in 6 years.
Yeah, well, you think about this. In 2010, Jordan Jefferson threw for 1,100 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions.
Oh, God.
You know what I mean? So when you go from that to 22-8, man, you feel like you're in a Lamborghini all of a sudden. And
that was a rocket ship of some sort. That was beyond Earth.
It felt like SpaceX out there. It really did.
Have a good weekend, Preston. We appreciate it.
All right, see you soon, Hunt.
All right, Preston Guy, TigerBait.com. All your spring football coverage, they got you covered over there at TigerBait.com. Taylor, open your mic here. That mental gymnastics I just did was a lot to deal with because I remember vividly watching Mettenberger throw the ball in 2013 and be like, I mean, this is the greatest passing offense I've ever seen in my life. And he threw 22 touchdowns, which is a third of what Burrow did in 19. And that's how quickly that perspective changed.
Do you remember how excited fans were when Danny Etling hit Deshaun Smith against Jackson State? Little fun fact for you. Danny Etling went 6 of 16 in that game, had 1 touchdown and a rushing touchdown, and everyone, myself included, was like, this is where LSU turns their season around. Even the next year, Etling went 18 touchdowns, 3 picks, and everybody's like, this guy's one of the top 5 quarterbacks in school history.
It's all about
perspective. It is a different game nowadays.
I thought Mettenberger was the greatest quarterback of all time. He threw 22 touchdowns. Burrow did 22 touchdowns in 2 weeks. That's crazy to think about. All right, take a time out. We'll talk LSU, Texas with the beat writer from over there in Austin when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Audio Video Security Solutions, avssla.com is the website. Mitchell Fisher and his team, just phenomenal to work with, whether it's on the audio side, video side, or it's on your security system. They can do it all. It's outdoor season right now. The spring weather is phenomenal. If you're out there doing some grilling, got a pool, got an outdoor patio set up, whatever the case may be, and you want to spend a lot of time outside and would like to have some tunes out there, would like to be able to have a television out there, they can do it for you. Audio Video Security Solutions, happy to help you. Hanging all those televisions, wiring the house for sound, and all of it can be controlled right there at a touch of a button on your phone. We spend a lot of time in the backyard of the Palmer house. There's always tunes bumping out there, and I control it all right there on the app. Mitchell Fisher installed every bit of it. So give him a call. Check him out online at avssla.com. It's Audio Video Security Solutions online at avssla.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you. Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, hosted by the Goo Goo Dolls' #1 fan, Hunt Palmer.
One conference weekend in the books. LSU 3-0 weekend against Missouri. Texas 3-0 weekend at Dudy Noble over in Starkville. Should be an incredible atmosphere in Austin for the next 3 days. I know I've got the right guy on the line here because his Twitter handle is Zach at the Dish. Of course, LSU will be at Dish Falk Field starting tonight for a 3-game set. Zachary Sim covers the Texas Longhorns for Orange Blood. Good enough to give us a few minutes here on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Zachary, how are you?
Doing great. How's everything going today?
Everything is good. We're excited about a little baseball this weekend. I got to imagine Texas fans are as well. Unfortunately, basketball eliminated back earlier this week, but baseball is playing very well under Jim Schlossnagle. What are the vibes in Austin like as far as baseball goes?
Yeah, the vibes are high. Everything's gone really well so far this season. There's a lot of excitement around the program and getting back to what Texas should be, right? So. It's a top 10 matchup between two of the most storied programs in the nation, and I think Texas fans are just excited to get that first SEC series at home.
For sure, and I want to talk about what the environment should be like over the next 3 days, but I'm curious what the expectation level was back in early February for this team. Obviously, it's the first year of a new head coach. Were there high expectations? Was it just excitement? Have they exceeded expectations thus far? What's been the case over the last 6 weeks?
Yeah, I think they've probably exceeded expectations to some degree. They had a really strong core nucleus returning, but a lot of them were hitters. And so the big question mark was, well, who's going to pitch for the team? Who's going to start? And so it's, those kind of big questions going into SEC where pitching is paramount. It was a little trepidation by some, but, quietly, I think the Texas coaches said, look, we think we have a team that can compete, but we can't just sleepwalk. We're going to have to be at our very best. We have to avoid injuries, and that's what they've done so far. So it's been really good. Obviously Jim Schlossnagle and his pedigree has brought a lot of attention and excitement to the program just for what he's done over the years at TCU and then again at A&M. So yeah, everyone's ramped up and ready to go.
Would you anticipate a full house for all 3 games this weekend?
Oh yeah, I think we'll probably be pushing some regular series season records this weekend because weather's supposed to be beautiful, low 80s, sunny. So, I think there's going to be plenty of people on hand.
I'm curious to see how LSU handles that. They have not faced a hostile road environment yet. They went over to Dallas and Frisco, but played in front of a lot of purple and gold those weekends. That will not be the case in Austin this weekend. So I'm curious to see how that plays out. Let's talk about this Texas team. I want to start on the mound because from afar it appears that there was potentially an injury in the midweek, and then there was a closer that was extended in an extra inning game. So what can you tell us about the availability of those two relievers and what Texas's bullpen maybe looked like this weekend?
Yeah, absolutely. So Andre Duplantier was the reliever that, he came up from warm-ups, and the coaches just said, it doesn't look perfect. So we're going to give him a rest. We're not going to use him tonight, especially with LSU coming to town. So he's ready to go. They tested him out, no issues structurally or otherwise. He's feeling good. And then with the reliever that got used significantly was Ruger Riojas. That was the guy that transferred from UTSA, who Texas played on Tuesday. And, he's going to be ready to go. He probably will not pitch tonight, but he will be ready to go for Saturday or, if worst case, Sunday. So.
All right, let's talk about the Texas rotation. I think the two names that come to the forefront are Jared Spencer and Luke Harrison, who I think LSU will see tonight and tomorrow. Let's start with Spencer. What can you tell us about the left-hander?
Yeah, he's got an electric fastball, sits 95 to 98. He's really grown into that role as a starter. There were some questions around, well, what does that look like? Because he mostly played pitched as a reliever when he was at Indiana State, but he's done really well. He commands the zone. He likes to attack, which is, of course, Max Wiener's, MO, if you will. And so far, everything's been really good. And, he likes to go use that slider, which is his out pitch. And then he's been mixing in a changeup. So he's really kind of developed that third pitch, which has helped him a lot to be able to get through the SEC lineup type folks. Yeah.
Luke Harrison, another left-hander who I don't believe lights up the radar gun quite to that extent, but his numbers are very good early in the season. What can you tell us about Harrison?
Yeah, Harrison's definitely not going to be a guy that's going to, just wow you with stuff. But he's a guy that has a really good mentality on the mound. And sometimes mound presence is one of the most important things you can have. And so he'll come out with a 91 to 89 fastball, but he commands it really well. And so, he'll mix it up. He'll throw it in the zone. He's got a breaking ball that's really good, has really great shape on it. It's hard to see come out of his hand. So, the big deal for Harrison has been he's got to get a little bit deeper in the games, and that means limiting the free passes. So sometimes he'll have a tendency to go deep into counts, which can result in a walk or so.
Let's talk about the Texas offense. Statistically, when you rank them with the other SEC teams, not a lot of eye-popping numbers, but they're certainly doing enough to win. What can you tell us about the Horns' overall identity on the offensive side?
Yeah, I think the identity of the Horns offense has been, kind of a bit of a work in progress to some degree. They had just some really powerful teams the last couple of years in terms of offense, and that was expected to be the main driver this year, but they kind of got to a slow start. Some of that was just adjusting to the philosophy. Coach Sloss wants them to get really deep in counts. He wants them to go and take first pitch strikes. He wants them to see a lot of pitches to get the pitch counts up. And so, it's maybe not hitting for the same power numbers that we've seen from them in the last couple of years, but they're a team that's been really good at timely hitting. And so they come through and, they have a bunch of big inning games as well. I think they have 6 games right now where they've scored 7 runs in a single inning. And so that continues to kind of be their MO.
Interesting. What's a potential concern for this Texas roster as you move through the next 27 SEC games?
I think, having that offense continue to gel is going to be really key because, it's still very early on in that philosophy. And so there are times where they can be a little too passive. There's times where you just need to go out and, put the ball in play. And coaches talk to them about that. And then the other thing I think you need to see from the Texas offense or the Texas team is their pitching staff. Like, they've got guys that they trust really well. So Max Grubbs, which y'all will see tonight, Ruger Riojas, he'll see this weekend, certainly on either Saturday or Sunday, Andre Duplantier, but it's getting that 5th and 6th guy out of the bullpen because the SEC lineups are so deep. And so being able to consistently go 3 or 2 innings, because their starters are not guys that are going to, go super deep in the games anyways. So.
Yeah, I think the bullpen is something that I was really curious about, and I'm glad you cleared a bunch of that up. We appreciate a little bit of time. Enjoy the great weather this weekend and some awesome baseball. We appreciate the time, Zachary.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
He's Zachary Sim, Orange Bloods, covers Texas baseball over there. It's going to be a great weekend in Austin, Texas, and we'll see if LSU is up to the challenge. It's interesting because if you were listening at the top of the show, I told you, this is the thing that you have to watch for with this Texas team is how patient they are early in counts. And unsolicited, really, I just kind of talked about the offense, and Zachary comes up and says, Sloss wants them to take pitches. He wants them to work counts. That's Texas' offensive MO. And if you go out there and you're always in 1-0 counts and 2-0 counts, you're going to be in big trouble. And LSU did that a lot last week against Missouri. So that cannot continue. You've got to throw it over the plate and make Texas try to beat you swinging the bat instead of watching. And the other piece of that is getting into a bullpen, and you don't want them to do that too often as well. LSU's got bullpen arms they trust. They've got guys they can go to, but you don't want to overtax those guys. You don't want DJ Primo always throwing 3 games in a weekend. You don't need to have guys going 50, 60, 80 pitches out of the bullpen like you potentially had last weekend where you had to go to 44 pitches out of Case and Evans because your starter went 3 2/3 in that game. That's not something you can sustain all that often. You'd really like to have Case and Evans for 2 different games on the weekend. We can't do that if he's got to come in the 7th. So It's a big key in this game to notice how Texas takes a lot of pitches, and LSU's going to have to pump strikes, and we'll see if they can do it starting tonight at 7 o'clock. If you're looking for a big breakdown of the series via print, you can find that over at LouisianaSports.net every single Friday. Or if they start on Thursday, the series snapshot is up there. It's on the front page of the website right now, and it's got a lot of numbers, a lot of breakdown. And for the first 5 weeks, I focused a lot on LSU in the series snapshot because I don't really care to break down Omaha's baseball team. I don't care that much to check out Purdue Fort Wayne. But in this instance, I thought it was relevant to really dive into Texas team because you kind of have a good feeling about LSU at this point. So I got a lot of Texas information there on LouisianaSports.net. You can check that out for free over on the website. We'll come back. Saints just made a free agent signing. We'll talk about it coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe. My whole team on wildin'.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Parish Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
From your hometown, parishbuilt.com.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show. Hopefully Hunt remembered to bring his laptop charger. Nah, there's no chance.
It was a pretty good run by Robert Morris at Alabama, but not going to be enough for the 15 seed. They're down 12 with 1:46 to go, so Alabama's going to be moving on. Mississippi State is done. They lose to Baylor by 3 points. Baylor did not foul. Up 3 points, let Mississippi State get a shot off at the buzzer, but it did not go down. So Chris Jans, for the third year in a row, eliminated in the first round of the NCAA tournament after winning 21 games. So Mississippi State out of the tournament. All right, let's break down a new signing for the New Orleans Saints. It happened while we were on the air here in this first hour. The New Orleans Saints have signed an old face back to the same place. It is Brandon Cooks, veteran wide receiver who was drafted by New Orleans in the first round back in 2014. He spent 3 seasons in New Orleans and was moved to New England via trade. He spent a couple of years with the Rams, spent some time in Houston, and has recently been with the Dallas Cowboys for a couple of seasons. Cooks will play this year his age 32 season. I'll be honest here, I don't like this signing a lot at all. You're talking about a 32-year-old receiver who has declined in production each of the last 5 seasons. He had 1,100 yards as in 2020, then went down to 1,037, down to 699, 657, and last year in only 10 games had 259 yards and 3 touchdowns. I understand the thought. Okay, you bring him in. He's an experienced vet. He's a third option behind Olave and Shaheed. But to me, this is a guy who he's not that expensive. You're talking about $8 million a year for 2 years. But I just don't have any interest in spending any money on Brandon Cooks because he's declining in production. He's getting up in age. The Saints are not in a position to win right now. Like, we talked to Luke Johnson about this a little bit earlier this week, and he was like, I think they should sign one of these veteran receivers, whether it's Brandon Cooks, whether it's Amari Cooper. Some of these guys, they flirted with Cooper Kupp for a little bit. And I understand the thought, but I'm not generally in spend mode with the Saints, and it's going to have to really have some upside to it for me to agree to it. Like, the Chase Young signing is not roundly agreed with. There are some that don't, certainly in this building at this station. There are some that don't agree with the Saints, but I can see it. Like, that's a guy who had some production this year. His numbers, his advanced metrics are actually better than the production on the stat sheet, and he's 25 years old. Like, there's a lot in the tank for Chase Young at a vital position, and he's not expensive relative to the elite players at that position. Cooks is not breaking the bank here, but I don't care about adding a receiver to this team. I'd rather just save money. Like, that's kind of where I am with the Saints. So, yeah, they had a bad receiving core last year. Yeah, injuries riddled it, and they ended up going to sign guys off the street, and MVS was doing everything. Like, I understand the situation, but I just don't think there's a ton of gas left in Brandon Cooks' tank. I don't think he gives the Saints something they don't already have. He doesn't bring elite size and physicality. If you're talking about 5'10", 6'1" receivers, you've got Olave and you've got a speed burner in Shaheed. Like, Cooks is just kind of another guy, and he didn't do very much in Dallas the last 2 years. So I'm not wild about this signing. I'd rather take a flyer on an undrafted guy or a late-round draft choice to try to make the team for no money that could potentially stick around for a little bit longer. Like, it's certainly not going to cripple the New Orleans Saints to go out and find Brandon Cooks, but I don't see a lot of value in bringing him in. If you think, well, he's a pro, he can teach the young receivers the ropes. Like, how young are Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed? Like, those guys are not exactly rookies anymore. So this is not one that excites me a ton. And the Saints continue to kind of go out and spend money on guys in their 30s. And I just don't love the idea. I like young. I like cheap. Brandon Cooks is not young. And so I'm kind of anti this deal. Taylor, you've watched this guy play for 2 years in Dallas. I saw you nodding your head along as I kind of said I don't really love the signing. It appears that you don't think it's a great move by the New Orleans Saints either.
You signed older, slower Rashid Shaheed is what you did.
Yeah.
That's what you brought him in for 2 years ago to do. Dallas brought him in, and they said, hey, we want a guy that can take a little bit of the pressure off of CeeDee Lamb. First year, 600 yards, 6 touchdowns. Like, he was fine last year in and out of the lineup because of injury, but even when he was on the field, he kind of got passed up by Jalen Tolbert. If you're asking yourself, who's Jalen Tolbert, that's kind of my point here. He just got passed up. He's a lot slower. He's undersized. I mean, if you were going to do this, I probably would have just brought back Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the Saints in the next hour about kind of where they are is in terms of their perception of where they are and where everyone else's perception is. But this feels like a move for a contending team, not a team that is where the Saints are. And I don't love the deal. So we'll see what he's able to do. He's an 11-year veteran in the league, and it's been 11 years since the Saints drafted him in the first round, and he had a string of 1,000-yard seasons in his second, third, fourth, fifth years. He went over 1,000 yards and then did it 2 more times after a season where he was hurt in Los Angeles. But this guy, his production's declined 5 years in a row. I'm not over the moon about this signing here, but it's not unexpected. We figured the Saints would dip into the veteran market here in free agency for a wide receiver, and they have with Brandon Cooks on a 2-year deal. It's going to be 33 when this thing ends. I don't love it. All right, let's close out. We are closing out hour number 1 here, and we'll crank it back up here for hour number 2. We got a lot to get to in the second hour. I want to talk about LSU and their offense this week against the Texas Arms. I want to talk about the odds for the Saints to win the NFC South. There's some SEC baseball we want to get to, and of course March Madness continues to roll on, and we'll get you scores from around the NCAA tournament as they become available. Iowa State rolling Lipscomb right now, 56-32 at halftime. That's the one that was on the screen as we're going to break here. So we'll step aside for SportsCenter, and we'll come back for what should be a very good last hour of the show this week. Our Friday shows are brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Go check them out online at corksfishandshrimp.com. It's a Lenten Friday. Stop on by Corks. We'll pause for SportsCenter. Come back with hour 2 coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com is that website. Every car that is on the lot is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. I tell you every single day about the incredible perks that come with being a Genesis of Baton Rouge driver. How about 3 years of complimentary maintenance? Even better, 3 years of valet complimentary maintenance. Nobody loves sitting around the dealership waiting for your car to be serviced. Got to wait for them to get to the car, and wait for the service to happen. You're sitting there watching Price is Right. That's not great. How about they come get your car, leave you a car so you can get on about your day. They'll handle your service, whether that's oil change, air filter, wiper fluids, blades, whatever the case may be. They'll handle that. They'll bring it right back to you. It's a great perk. And a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. 10 years, 100,000 miles. Check them out online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. Genesis of Baton Rouge, online at genesisofbatonrouge.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
When you can't rely on technology, you can.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. The first round continues in the men's NCAA tournament. Final seconds, Alabama putting the finishing touches on Robert Morris, leading 90-80. 10 minutes to go in the game. Iowa State cruising ahead of Lipscomb 60-33. At the half, Memphis leads Colorado State 36-31. The first final of the day in Raleigh, where Baylor got quite a battle from Mississippi State.
Sizing up his defender, Matthews, who's longer than him. Bounce feed O'Meara at the foul line, and about face and a lob. High-low love. Catch, fire, score. Easy does it for Baylor, leading by 7, Langston Love.
The call on the Westwood One NCAA radio network. Baylor wins it 75-72. ESPN's Pete Thamel reports Northwestern is in talks with Coach Chris Collins on a new contract. That new deal could come together in the next few weeks. The Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, first to report free agent quarterback Aaron Rodgers is visiting with the Steelers today. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports no deal is imminent. Rodgers also has an offer from the Giants.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Monday, we'll have full reaction to both the men's and women's NCAA tournament. Plus, continue to be on Aaron Rodgers' watch. It's Unsportsmanlike, weekday mornings at 6, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Waiting to rise again.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2. Final hour of the week, Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. LSU in Texas tonight from Austin. I want to kind of dive into this pitching staff that the Texas Longhorns will trot out. It is not a pitching staff loaded with talent. I think that will happen with Jim Schlossnagle at the helm. He'll eventually get his guys in there. But they have pitched well enough this year to win a lot of games, and certainly pitched well enough in a hitter-friendly ballpark in Starkville last weekend to sweep that series. Now, a lot of people have suggested that Texas caught a bit of a break last week in Starkville because weather washed out Saturday, so they played 2 7-inning games on Sunday. That cuts 4 innings off of your bullpen's workload, and that probably benefited Texas, who doesn't have as much talent in the back end of the bullpen as they probably will moving forward. But they've done a good job. Max Wiener's a good pitching coach, and I want to talk about the guys that LSU is going to see tonight and tomorrow. In tonight's game, you're going to see a left-hander from Indiana State in Jared Spencer. Luis Hernandez will know him well. Spencer spent some time in the bullpen at Indiana State last year. He's got pretty big arm. He's 6'3". He's 210 pounds. He's got a flowing red hair. And you're going to see him 92 to 97 with the fastball tonight. But it's not a fastball that's got a lot of carry and ride to it. It doesn't have that Ty Floyd high spin rate deal. It actually kind of sinks a little bit. And for that reason, it doesn't play the 95, 96 that it might if it had a tighter spin rate and carried through the zone a little bit better. And so he's gotten he got hit a little bit against Mississippi State last week in his first real step up in competition. Prior to last weekend, Spencer had worked 21 innings and allowed just 2 earned runs. He had been great in the pre-conference. Mississippi State hung 5 earned runs on him on 8 hits in 5 2/3 innings. And I think LSU did a really good job last weekend against left-handed pitching, and the hope is that when you take a little bit, Missouri didn't have anybody that could throw 97 miles an hour, and you will see that from Spencer tonight. But LSU did a really good job against left-handed pitching last weekend, and you saw Michael Braswell in the lineup all 3 days. You saw Ethan Fry out there. He's swinging the bat very well. So, yeah, you're going to have Curiel in there who's going to hit from the left side, and you're probably going to have either Pearson or Jake Brown in there who hits from the left side, but they'll load the lineup up with a lot of right-handed bats, and I think they should be in pretty good shape against Spencer. In the next game on Saturday, you're going to see Luke Harrison. Luke Harrison was incredible against Ole Miss in his first outing in Arlington. They opened the season in that Arlington tournament against Ole Miss, which was not a conference game when it was scheduled, but now is their conference foes. But Harrison in that game worked 6 2/3 innings, 2 hits, no runs against Ole Miss. He's not a power arm. This is a fastball that's going to be 89 to 91 from Harrison, but he changes speeds pretty well. He's got pretty good command. And in his first 3 outings, he only walked 3 in 14 2/3 innings. However, in the last 2 outings, he's walked 7 in 7 innings. Against Mississippi State, he allowed 4 walks in his outing. So that's a guy that's lost a little bit of command of late, but generally is a pretty good command pitcher. He's a pitchability guy more so than Spencer. What I like about this is that LSU saw a ton of left-handed pitching last weekend, as I mentioned. So this is just kind of a little bit of a step up for the Tigers. What you want to do with Texas is get into this bullpen. That is crucial because they don't have a lot of dudes. Now, we talked in the first hour with Zachary Sim, who said that Andre Duplantier is going to be okay. Duplantier came out in Tuesday's game to warm up. They went out there and immediately pulled him before he threw a pitch. Well, that raises a lot of red flags. After the game, Jim Schlossnagle met with the media. He just said he felt fine, and I'm not pitching somebody on a Tuesday that feels fine. So they sat him. Apparently they did some checking, got the MRI, everything came back clean. So he's apparently ready to go. You'll notice Duplantier when he comes out there. He looks like he played linebacker for Steve Sarkisian. He is a physical dude. Kind of throws from a 3/4 arm slot, throws a lot of sinking fastballs, has a good slider, but they go to him a lot. He's got 7 appearances. It would be 8 if he was going to make the one back on Tuesday. They love to go to him. They also go to Ruger Riojas a ton. He's a guy who has already got 8 appearances on the year. He threw 54 pitches back on Tuesday. Maybe not available to go in this game, but probably ready to go on Saturday. But that's their main 2 guys out of the bullpen. Beyond that, it's not a lot of premium stuff. So if LSU can tax Harrison and Spencer, in that reverse order, Spencer tonight, Harrison tomorrow, and get into Texas's bullpen, they should have a lot of success. And candidly, LSU has shown an aptitude to do that. You're talking about a team in LSU that walks a ton, that puts a lot of guys on base, that has put a ton of pressure on starting pitching all year long. And so I'm excited to watch them in this weekend. If they can do it this weekend, it's a perfect kind of stair step. You've got what I think is probably the worst stuff staff in the SEC in Missouri last week. You take a small step up to Texas this week, then you probably take one more step up against Mississippi State next week. They've got more stuff. Now, I know Texas just went there and swept. I get that. But as far as just talent, Mississippi State's got more of that in the pitching staff than Texas does. So when you think Texas, you think just a arm farm, just a bunch of guys that throw really hard. They don't have a LeBaron Johnson. They don't have a guy that's going to go in the first round of this draft. There's some stuff there with Spencer, but I don't think it plays to what the radar gun says based on what I saw and then what Mississippi State did to him last weekend. But if you're watching these games, I think the thing to look at is how quickly LSU can get the pinch count elevated for Texas. Probably the first guy out of the bullpen for Texas tonight will be Max Grubbs. He's off to a good start this year in 7 outings. He's thrown 18 innings, struck out 17, and only allowed 2 earned runs, 4 total. So you're probably going to see Grubbs. If they have a lead, you'll probably see Duplantier. But beyond that, not a lot. So that's the big piece to this. So I've given you 2 kind of keys to this weekend, one on the offensive side for LSU, one on the defensive side for LSU. On the offensive side, work counts and get into the bullpen. On the defensive side, attack early. It's the same type of deal, but this is a core philosophy for the 2 head coaches that are going at each other this weekend. Schlossnagle and Jay Johnson love working counts, taxing starters, getting into bullpens, and creating long games that have a lot of base runners. That is what these 2 guys do. And so whoever does that the best, which Jay Johnson would call it strike zone control. That's the buzzword that he uses. That the game's played, with balls and strikes. You got to control that. It's like the line of scrimmage is what he says. That is a big piece to this weekend. I think these 2 teams are pretty evenly matched when you consider the fact that this game is in Austin. If it was at the box, I would really like LSU. In Austin, I tend to think it's a little bit closer to 50-50. If LSU can go out there and get a couple games this weekend, man, will you put yourself in great position. Great position if you can do that. The sweep was big last week to put the math in your favor early on. We all know that did not happen last year. So you've done that part. You can really swing things in your favor if you can go get a couple. If you can make this out of this first segment at 5-1, you have put yourself in a phenomenal position to come back home and play a weekend. If you go over there and lose 2 out of 3 or get swept, all of a sudden there's going to be a lot of questions about a team that took on its first real challenge of the season and didn't pass it. So I'm not here to speak negatively. I'm just talking about setting expectations for the weekend. Texas is pretty good. It's going to be an incredible environment. We talked to Zachary Sim in the last hour, and he said that they thought they might set some regular season records as far as attendance goes this week. It's going to be an incredible atmosphere for baseball. LSU's got to rise to the challenge. I think they've got a group that's very, very capable of doing that. But it's no question a step up from Missouri this week to Texas. So I'm very, very excited to get there on the couch and to take these 3 games. And they'll start tonight at 7 o'clock. They are on the SEC network tonight, so you won't have to stream that. You can go ahead and watch it on cable if you'd like. It'll be LSU in Texas, 7 o'clock tonight from Dish Falk over in Austin. Off to a good start here in hour number 1. Hour number 2, I should say. There's Jordan going. It's hour 2. He don't want to work another hour. It's hour number 2. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about perception of the Saints from the outside and perception of the Saints from the inside. And I think that it's very clearly illustrated by some odds that were released earlier this week. So we'll do that when we come back on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Baton Rouge's home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the flagship home for LSU sports. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact to help protect our planet. Together, we're fueling our energy future. Atmos Energy.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show with former Texas A&M Yell leader, Hunt Palmer. Giga Maggies.
The Aggies are struggling on the baseball field. They lost again last night. They're 0-4 in league play, and they can't hit. Lavalette hits a 2-run homer last night. You're thinking, okay, they got out from Bluebell Park where they're getting booed in their home stadium. They're going to find something on the road. Nope. Didn't do anything the rest of the game. And they lose to Vanderbilt in Nashville. We'll see if they can rebound tonight. It's getting late early, and that's Michael Early's the new coach over there. Getting late early for the Aggies right now. I still don't think that I'm going to write them off, but that's not a hot start to league play at 0-4, and they're pushing being a 500 team right now. So Brian Prager got hit last night. If he gets hit, then they're in big trouble. So we'll talk a little bit more SEC baseball coming up in the next segment. Over at LouisianaSports.net, we've got a piece up that is talking about the New Orleans Saints and their odds to win the NFC South. And the odds makers over at, I believe it's, sportsbetting.ag, put these up. And the Saints are right now, according to these odds, 7-1 to win the NFC South. And that's not like an astronomical number if you just say it out loud. Like 7-1, okay. Like, we understand the Saints are in a transition. We understand that nobody's super happy with Carr. Their salary cap situation's not great. The roster's aging a little bit. There are plenty of issues with the New Orleans Saints. But 7-1 is not like some massive number. And then you start to look at it comparatively with the rest of the teams in the league. And you've got the Jets, who are 10-1. You've got the Browns, who are 22-1. You've got the Titans, who are 8-1. The Raiders, who are 16-1. The Giants, who are 20-1. That's the only 5 teams in the NFL with worse odds than the Saints to win their division. Now, some of those teams, I would argue, are significantly worse than the Saints. That's completely fair. Like, the Giants are a mess right now. Saints went up there. It's a bad team. But really, you're looking at teams that are, 1, bad, and 2, have teams in their division that are really good. Like, we get it. The Jets are 10-1. The Bills are 2-5 favorites, minus 250 to win that division. They're a really good team. Like, the Browns are 22-1 because, yeah, they're bad. They've also got Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow in their division. So we get that. The Titans play in a bad AFC South, so that 8-1 is not a good look on them. But the Raiders are 16-1 because the Chiefs are in their division. You get what I'm saying here? The Saints are in the worst division in football. They're in a division that has got Baker Mayfield running the show. And they're 7-1 in this division, which is significantly worse than the Panthers, who are 4-1. That is bad.
Okay, hold on. The Panthers
are 4-1. The Saints are 7-1.
All right, I was okay with the 7-1, but the Panthers 4-1.
That's almost half the odds.
Exactly. The Panthers.
Saints are a better team than the Panthers.
Panthers.
Either way, Vegas, and this is not Vegas, I know, but we use that colloquially. Like, they don't lose a lot of money. They're not putting lines up there to just get their brains kicked in. And if they are taking money on the Saints at almost twice the odds of the Panthers, that should be an indication from an unbiased source that only cares about money that from the outside, things don't look that great in the Saints world. And we continue to hear Mickey Loomis and now watch Mickey Loomis make moves that would suggest that they think the Saints are close. And that is the biggest problem. The biggest problem with the Saints is not that their roster is old, is not that their roster is expensive. It's that the people making decisions in New Orleans don't see that part. That is the worst part. And when you look outside of the facility that's out there on Airline Drive, and you look at the way everyone else perceives New Orleans and how disconnected that appears to be from what the people actually calling the shots in the organization feel, there's a huge issue with that. Because there are only 5 teams with longer odds to win the division than you, and they all play in divisions with really good teams in them, and you don't. So basically, they're suggesting that you have an awful, awful, awful roster and situation. And I thought, honestly, as I'm evaluating this from afar, that they were turning a corner last year in terms of scaling everything back. You did not see the Saints really overextend themselves at all last year. They brought Chase Young in on a 1-year deal. Cool. Need to go get a linebacker, head up to Kansas City, grab Willie Gay on a 1-year deal. Cool. But they weren't overextending themselves. And now you're seeing them offer multi-year deal to Brandon Cooks and bring him in. And you're finding guys in their 30s that you're bringing in on multi-year deals. That, to me, feels like you think you're close. And no one else sees it that way. No one. It would be one thing if I was just some moron up here screaming and yelling and no one agreed. Everyone agrees with all this, and nobody agrees with the way that the Saints look at these things. And if you're going to look for an unbiased source, I can't think of a better one than gambling odds. They do not give a rip about feelings. They're trying to make money. And if they thought the Saints were any good, they would not be giving odds this significant. So as I watch the Saints continue to move and continue to watch them in free agency, the disconnect just continues to grow. We've got one more hurdle to clear here in the offseason, and that's the draft. And I was listening to the guys in the morning show this morning, Jake and T-Bob, talk about how attractive a potential trade back could be for the Saints. Now, we know Mickey Loomis has never done that in the history of ever. He trades as much as anybody, and it's a one-way street. It's only up. And they did that once last year, but it wasn't egregious. They never trade back, and I was thinking, like, maybe that's the full evolution of this. We saw an offseason last year where they took one baby step, which was not offering big deals to old guys. And then maybe the next rational step for this front office and organization the next year would be, hey, just take a full 180 and like trade back and get more players that are cheap and young. And we haven't seen them trade up yet, but thought maybe they might trade back. I don't see, based on what I'm looking at in this offseason with signing older players. You're signing Devon Godshaw to a deal, signing Brandon Cooks to a deal, bringing back aging players. That, to me, doesn't anymore feel like an organization that's moving away from what it had been. It seems like an organization that's running right in line with what they had done. And that's why they're in this situation where the roster's old, the roster's expensive, and everybody on the outside thinks they stink. And for them to have significantly worse odds than the Carolina Panthers to win the division should be crystallizing. And I guess the worst thing that could have happened for the Saints last year was to have all those injuries, because it feels like now they're really starting to lean on that. And you heard it from Mickey Loomis in the press conference, so it's not shocking. But he talks about those injuries multiple times. And so basically he's not saying, yeah, we're old, we're expensive, and not very good. He's saying, actually, we are really good, but we got hurt. So we can keep everybody healthy, which no one does, and then add some more old guys who are kind of expensive, then we'll really have it. They can make those odds 30-1 at this point. But the jarring thing looking at these stats is that you're in a division that's got some real mediocre organizations, and they feel like you're still that long a shot. It's a sobering thought. Jordan, you're listening to me here. You got black and gold running through your veins over there.
Bleed it.
7-1, Panthers.
I mean, look, man.
Mickey Loomis, what do we think?
I think it's a little bogus. It's a little bogus. But at the same time, I respect it. Maybe they're expecting, Bryce Young to have some type of jump. He showed a little bit of signs for the end of the last year, but, I'm not too sold on Penix with the Falcons yet either. Like, how are they So
what you're telling me is you might put some money down on the Saints at 7-1 that'll win division, and you feel like they are closer than that.
I ain't gonna say win a division, but I think we're better than the Panthers. I don't think, listen, the Saints are still the gum at the bottom of your shoe. Don't get me wrong. But I don't think we're like toilet paper at the bottom of your shoe like the Panthers. Like, I don't think we're that bad.
Panthers cooked you in Charlotte last year.
They did. But I told you.
Got rid of
Dennis Allen. So shout out to Bryce Young, the savior of the city. Yes.
Taylor, are you running to the window to get the Saints at 7-1?
No, I'm not. I'm not betting on the Saints to win that until further notice. This is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers division.
You're a Baker boy.
Yeah,
I am a
He's
Baker boy.
He's played pretty well. I mean, he's played pretty well for 2 years.
Baker's been good.
For those that are interested, the Tampa Bay is the favorite at 1-1. Atlanta 2-1. Carolina 4-1. The Saints at 7-1. Even like the Bears are 4-1 to win their division.
All right. Okay.
Well, that's the Caleb Williams glazing. We knew all about that. I mean, come on. That was going to happen.
So the Saints are on par at this point with the Cardinals to win the West.
Oh.
They're 7-1. Who else is 7-1 exactly on this list?
Hey, where's Dallas?
Dallas is in the NFC East. They are 7-1. I missed it.
Okay.
There you go. So y'all are simpatico over there.
Guys, we're not as dissimilar as you want to believe.
Sing Kumbaya, the 7-1 club. Print the shirt. 7-1, baby.
Can you tell us what the Steelers are real quick? The Steelers?
The Pittsburgh Steelers, who are not a great squad. 5-1, better than the Saints.
Wow.
To beat the Ravens and the Bengals
to win that division. They don't have a quarterback yet. They don't even have a quarterback.
Neither do you. All right, that's it. No more making fun of the Saints. We'll come back, talk some SEC baseball next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Every job that they do at One Bath and Closets is customized to you, to your specs. It's a local company. They're licensed, bonded, and insured. If you've got a significant issue in the bathroom, whether it's on the plumbing side of things with what needs to be a remodel because you've got an older home or something's just failing, don't just call the handyman down the street. That's a significant risk. There's a master plumber available right there at One Bath and Closets. He does all the work for David Duvall and his team there, and you can use a local company to make that happen. It's David Duvall and One Bath and Closets. Go to the website, onebathandclosets.com. You can find some reviews from satisfied customers. You can find pictures of their fantastic work, and you can do the most important thing, which is get a free consultation. It doesn't cost you anything to sit down with David and see what he can do for you. He's got a ton of experience, 3 decades worth in the industry, and he can revitalize your home in the bathroom or in the closet. It's One Bath and Closets. Check him out online at onebathandclosets.com, onebathandclosets.com.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team color, team swag, and now your very own website. LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always. No paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net. Powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Hunt Palmer, lover of LSU, Shreveport, and mayonnaise on hot dogs. The Hunt Palmer Show.
All right, week number 2 in SEC baseball. We talked about it a little bit with Joe Healy yesterday, but I want to shed some light on some of these series. This is something that I said last week and may repeat a couple more times until it gets a little too repetitive. But, I think that conference realignment has had some disadvantages. Like, the travel for Stanford and Cal is absurd, and losing some rivalries is tough on people. I know a lot of folks miss the fact that LSU and Auburn are not going to play football this past year or this coming year. That's just, there are some things that it has done that have been detrimental to collegiate athletics. However, one of those things is not SEC baseball play, because every single weekend I can go up and down the scoreboard and find 4 or 5 high level series. And that's going to be the case this weekend and for the next 9. You've got LSU and Texas probably headlining everything, but Georgia and Florida are both in the top 15. Tennessee and Alabama are both in the top 15. You've got some intrigue with teams that got swept last week, like Mississippi State, who's now going on the road to face a first-round pick tonight in Kyson Witherspoon in Norman. They could be really behind the 8 ball here. Texas A&M is in Nashville. They're 0-4. That's got a lot of intrigue because both of those two teams lost weekends last weekend. So, there's just, you've got incredible drama every single week, and that is just, I love it. I don't know if it's for everybody, but I absolutely love it. So I want to talk briefly about the weekend. I talked about Tennessee and Alabama a little earlier today, but Alabama wins that series, wins that opener last night. They got to Tennessee's Friday night guy, which no one has been able to do. Liam Doyle has been dominant all season, and he looked good early, and then Alabama got to him because he started walking guys. Walked a couple guys, and you walked a couple guys in front of the wrong dude, and Justin LeBron comes up and rips a double into the gap to score 3 runs. It was a pitch that was up. Just so few guys in college baseball can get to Liam Doyle's fastball up in the zone, and Justin LeBron is one of them. He's probably the best player in the country, and he hammered it in the gap, and that was part of a 5 spot that Alabama hung, and they made it stand up to win. So now Alabama throws its most talented pitcher at Tennessee tonight. And the Vols have lost 2 in a row after starting 20-0. So that's really interesting. If Alabama can win a game tonight or tomorrow, you're going to have to really start taking them seriously because they started the season at College Station and then had Tennessee come in. That's 2 teams that have been number 1 in the country at points this year. And if they start 5-1 or better, like that's a huge deal for Rob Vaughn and that Alabama team. So game number 2 of that series coming up this evening. I'm really interested to watch Georgia and Florida this weekend. Florida went to Knoxville and got swept, even though they didn't play that poorly last weekend. Florida's going to sit their ace this weekend. Liam Peterson is going to be down. They feel like he's okay, just needs a week of rest. It's just never a very good sign, quite frankly, when you've got your ace that can't go on a weekend. So we'll see what Liam Peterson, if they don't have him, they're in some trouble. But they're 0-3 right now, and you've got a team coming in Georgia that's top 5 in the country. So that's going to be a monster weekend down at Condren Family Ballpark in Gainesville. Very, very excited to see if Georgia can pitch a little bit. They did not at all last weekend, but they outscored Kentucky in those games. So we'll see how that goes. And then you've got what I talked about a little bit earlier, A&M and Vanderbilt. Like Texas A&M, I haven't mentioned this, but it's something the guys at D1 Baseball have harped on now for a couple weeks since the Aggies got off to a tough start. Texas A&M's road baseball weekends, like the ones that they play on the road in SEC, is just murderous. And you thought they were going to be so good that it wasn't really going to matter. But you're going to Vanderbilt, which is not nearly the toughest road trip on this docket. And then you're at Tennessee in a couple of weeks. That's a place that nobody wants to go play. You're at Arkansas, a place that nobody wants to go play. You're at Texas, which is going to be a hornet's nest for them. That's no good. And then you have a road weekend at Georgia, who is a handful in that ballpark because it plays offensive and they're very offensive. So, I mean, you don't go to the box, which is good, but you do have to go to Arkansas and Tennessee and Texas. And Georgia. Like, that's so brutal. That is 12 SEC games. Like, how many of those do you think A&M's going to win? They play like this, like 2. But, it is, as I said in the last hour, like, it is getting late early for the Ags. And I'm still, I'm confident there's not a single Texas A&M fan that I can convince of this. But, like, we have watched this the llast 2 seasons. LSU started 3-12 last year. It was a threat to make Omaha. Ole Miss the year before that, or 2 years before that, was a disaster, won the national championship. 2 years ago, Tennessee in 2023, they were coming off the year where they were the best team ever, and they lost in the Super. But it was the team that came to Baton Rouge, and they lost 2 out of 3 in Baton Rouge, but they had been swept by Missouri before that. And so I think they made the turn at 5-10. They were in Omaha. LSU played them twice. So you can turn things around in this sport. It's the thing I love about this sport so much is that you don't have to be awesome the entirety of the season. There was a time in college football where you had to be awesome the entirety of the season. That's not the case in college baseball. But Texas A&M better get it in gear, if they're going to figure it out. Because you're 0-4, you're in Nashville right now, and waiting on the other side is Kentucky coming to Bluebell, and then you're going to Knoxville. And I would be stunned if Texas A&M won 2 games in Knoxville. Stunned. And you're already 0-4. So you have to find somehow, some way to get to 13 SEC wins, potentially 14, the way that they played in the non-conference. We talk about it all the time. The math doesn't look great. It just doesn't. The math ain't mathin', as the kids say. And so I'm very, very fascinated to see if they can respond in the game tonight. Ole Miss, I said previous to last weekend when they played Arkansas, kind of needs to win 4 of their first 6. They're 1-2, but they're going to Missouri. I'll keep an eye on Missouri because I'll be honest, I watched Missouri play every pitch over the weekend in Baton Rouge. They played better than I thought they would. I'm hoping that's a positive for Missouri and not an indictment on LSU, but that remains. We'll learn a little bit more about LSU as they go to Austin. We'll learn a little bit more about Missouri now as they play Ole Miss. Now, I've got a big sample size of 4 pre-conference weeks to say that Missouri's bad. They didn't look terrible last weekend. Hopefully, they're turning a little bit of a corner. I'll feel a little bit better about myself if they can beat Ole Miss 2 times this weekend. We'll see if that happens. They get somebody every year. They got Florida last year. They got Tennessee in a sweep the year before that. Like, somebody goes up there and has a bad time. And a lot of times it's early in the conference slate because it's chilly. It's not going to be chilly this weekend up in Columbia, but you go up there, if you're from the Gulf Coast and it's 85 degrees every day now, you go up to Columbia and it's 51 and the wind's blowing, like, that's not a real comfortable weekend. That's not going to be the case this weekend, but we'll see if Ole Miss has got enough to handle it. And I've also got an eye on Oklahoma because LSU goes there in a couple of weeks, and I want to see how they play outside of Kyson Witherspoon. They did do enough last week to beat South Carolina 2 out of 3. They'll welcome in an 0-3 Mississippi State team. Chris Lemonis better get it in gear, man. I mean, they expect a lot for good reason in Starkville. And since they won that national championship, you missed the tournament 2 years. Got in last year as a 2 seed, didn't advance the super regional round. Right now they're looking at 0-3 with a road trip and a first-round pick staring at them tonight. Could be 0-4. That could be some trouble. So I'm going to keep an eye on the SEC every single weekend. I realize that this is not a segment that a lot of the shows are going to do, but that's the beauty. We got 10 hours here. We'll do a lot of different things across the course of 10 hours. I like to keep an eye on the SEC, so we'll continue to do that as we move forward. Tigers and Longhorns tonight, 7 o'clock from Dish Falk. Got a couple more thoughts on that weekend. We'll talk about that in the next segment, and we will play some Take It or Leave It and get on down the road. It's a Friday edition of The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is that website. I've told you a lot in the recent weeks about the captives and what that can mean for the future of insurance. It's a game changer for those businesses that have not explored it. If you are an owner or a CFO or a risk manager, someone who's in charge of the insurance program at your business, and you have not explored a captive and you spend a significant amount in insurance, if you're just on a business owner's BOP and you pay your 4 figures a year, may not be for you. But if you're a bigger business that has not looked at a captive, the Highland Insurance Group handles that kind of stuff all the time. It's a new way to approach insurance. There are creative solutions involved. If you haven't been presented that opportunity, contact Jonathan Carbo and the team at the Highland Insurance Group and make sure that you are aware. It's the Highland Insurance Group. They're online at HighlandIG.com. Anywhere in the state of Louisiana, they are happy to help you at the Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show. Hopefully Hunt remembered to bring his laptop charger. Nah, there's no chance.
Just a huge shout out to our squad here at Guarantee Media. They're over at the Louisiana Associated Broadcasters Awards for 2025, and it was quite a haul under our roof here. Bo Wegman, who's incredible, the broadcast engineer of the year. Congrats to Bo. Alondra Villarreal, who is on the audio for Off the Bench Young Professional of the Year. Our own Cassie Spazzali, Student Broadcaster of the Year. Shout out to Cassie. She was bringing the hardware around here just a couple of minutes ago. Matt Moscona and the crew here at After Further Review Best Sports Show. Brian Haldane over on Talk 107.3 Best Election Coverage. Eagle 98.1 won Station of the Year. So awesome haul for us over at Guarantee Media. And we shout out to all those folks for their great work over the year and for being recognized for that. Let's look at the NCAA tournament scoreboard here. Alabama finished off Robert Morris in a game that was closer than Alabama fans would have liked. It was 90-81 as the final. Robert Morris actually took a lead in that game in the second half. Iowa State smashed Lipscomb in a 14-3 matchup. 82-55 was the final there. Baylor outlasted Mississippi State 75-72. Mississippi State had a 3-ball in the air to tie it, but it did not go down. So those are your finals. 2 SEC games are complete. Games in progress right now in the NCAA tournament. Memphis is trailing Colorado State. Colorado State's the 12 seed in that game. It's 64-54, 10-point game with 8.5 minutes to go in the second half. Duke is doubling up Mount St. Mary's 44-22 in that one. Let me see if Cooper Flagg is playing in that game. I'm going to pull up the box score. It appears Cooper Flagg is playing. Yeah, 4 for 4 in the game, 9 points thus far. So he's out there. I would sit him right on the bench for the entirety of the rest of that game if I was John Shire.
Put him in a Pelicans jersey.
But Shire didn't ask for my advice. Vanderbilt is in action against St. Mary's. They're the 10 seed against the 7 St. Mary's. They're up 11-9 early in that game. Some more SEC action that will come up this afternoon. In about 15 minutes, Ole Miss will play North Carolina in the 11-6 game. Norfolk State in Florida. 16-1 game is at 5:50 on TNT. Troy will play Kentucky. That's a 14-3 matchup at 6:10. Oklahoma will play UConn in an 8-9 matchup at 8:30 tonight. And that is all the SEC action for this Friday of the madness. I did okay in the bracket. I think I was 11-5 yesterday, which is
that's a good day.
It's respectable. Yeah. I saw that Courtney Cronin from ESPN. I went to ESPN.com to go look at scores, and Courtney Cronin, who's an ESPN football reporter, she went perfect 16-0 yesterday. That's pretty salty. I did that once, 2007. It's very, very famous. People talk about it to this day. Yeah. My 16-0 run in 2007 when I was a freshman at LSU. But I enjoyed a little bit of basketball yesterday. Going to do so again this afternoon. Certainly LSU baseball will be top of mind at 7 o'clock tonight. I previewed this one a couple different times on the show if you missed it. But I'm fascinated with how LSU handles this. Right now, we all feel like LSU is a really good team. But kind of quietly, you're looking at the pitching last week and going, I need more from Ianson, need more from Shores. It feels like Monday you'll have a better feel for it. If they lose 2 out of 3 or get swept, I think it's just going to be DEFCON 1 around here. If they go out there and win 2 of 3 or sweep Texas, you'll really feel like LSU is among the nation's best. Like that's kind of the way it feels right now without that information. I like LSU to win 2 out of 3, and the reason why is I think that LSU's offense is absolutely legit. And I think they're going to score 7 or 8 runs in these 3 games. Like, I just feel like even against Spencer tonight, who's got big-time velocity, I don't think it plays to that level. And I think LSU is going to get into that bullpen, and I think they're going to do some damage at Dish Falk. Now, I think Texas is going to score as well. I think LSU is still struggling with command to a point that Texas can take control of. But if you listened to me earlier in the show, you heard me give the keys to this, and it's something that's very – it's like saying you got to – win the turnover battle or win the line of scrimmage in football. Like it's a very kind of cliche thing, but just based on matchup statistics and the identity of these 2 teams and these 2 coaches, the strike zone's going to be a huge deal. And if LSU throws a lot of strikes this weekend, they will have a lot of success. If they do not, they won't. And that seems obvious, but it's exacerbated by looking at the statistics and the way that Texas wants to play baseball. So I like LSU to win 2 out of 3 this weekend. If they can do that and get to 5-1 after 2 weekends, you'll feel really good about where LSU sits at this point. So that's my thoughts on LSU and Texas. 7 o'clock tonight, Eagle 98.1 is where you can listen to it. It'll be on the SEC Network as well, but pregame show from Chris Blair and Bill Franquez will come at you at 6:30 over there on Eagle 98.1, which is the station of the year today at LAB. All right, let's finish things up with some Take It or Leave It. We got some, Jordan?
Oh, yeah, we got some.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Just take it.
All right, let's get this bad boy started. So, the Paul Skeens 1-of-1 rookie debut patch autograph card has sold at an auction for $1.1 million. Only Mike Trout card sold for more. Should the 11-year-old have sold the card now or waited? Take it or leave it.
I mean, $1.1 million for a baseball card, I'll go ahead and take the cash. I realize that if Skeens wins 5 Cy Youngs and goes to the Hall of Fame, it'll be worth more. I understand how supply and demand works.
Yeah.
I just can't imagine spending $1 million on a little card.
Yeah.
I don't, that doesn't compute in my brain. I don't want the card for $15. Oh. So I don't. I mean, if I can sell it for $1 million, I want it for $15.
Okay.
But like just in general,
Yeah.
I don't get collecting baseball cards.
Yeah.
Like the only thing that I have in my life that I quote unquote, and I use that term very loosely, collect is like highball glasses. I like Scotch glasses, but I drink out of them all the time. So like I get utility out of having the glasses. What do you do with the baseball card? You look at it.
I guess they like put them in like one of those binders with like the.
It's just not. I'm not criticizing anyone. I'm just saying I don't get it. I don't understand $1 million for a baseball card. I understand why it would be valuable to have the Declaration of Independence. I don't understand why you would have I mean, there's nothing to do with that either. But it's a historical document. I don't get a baseball card.
What's something to brag about when people come over? I have the Declaration of Independence.
I don't think they're going to give that away from the archives there. They got the glass. And Nick Cage could steal it, but that's about it.
Shout out Nick Cage. Okay, so last night, Bronny James hits his 6th career three-pointer, which is more career total than Ben Simmons.
Oh, no.
Bronny for rook.
Y'all got to stop making fun. Who put that in there? Y'all got to stop making fun of Ben Simmons.
Ben Simmons has only made 6 threes in
his
NBA
he's only
career.
made 5. I actually put this in here. Ben Simmons has made 5 in his entire career.
That's
in a day and age
believe.
in the NBA when you live or die on three-pointers, he's made 5.
I think
but here's the question, Hunt. When the hell did he make 5?
Yeah. I mean, you got it. I could make 5 at this point for that many years he's played.
I don't think I've ever seen him make
there
one.
are probably a lot of people who listen to this show that don't go to football games, basketball games, or baseball games. You don't buy tickets or go because you don't live in Baton Rouge or it's not, whatever. You don't go to games. One of the things LSU does at all three of those events is they do during timeouts, Tigers and the pros, and they flash all the LSU football games. They do all the guys in the NFL with their teams, basketball, all the guys in the NBA with their teams, baseball, all the guys in the MLB with their teams. And, Burrow gets a huge roar, and Tyrann Mathieu gets a huge roar, and then you go to the box, and Skeens and Cruz get huge roars, and so does Bregman. You go to basketball, and you see Cam Thomas or Trendon Watford, whoever, they get a big roar. Every single basketball game, they put Ben Simmons up there, and he gets loudly booed by the entire PMAC. I have never seen anything like that.
Yep.
It wasn't like he ratted on him to get put in probation. People that's the disapproval level of Ben Simmons in Baton Rouge. It's stunning. I've never seen anything like it. You didn't even I don't like the way he was portrayed. He portrayed college basketball in that documentary he did. I get that part. But he played pretty well at LSU. He was pretty good player.
He was pretty good to me when he was here. I was like, damn, this guy's number one pick.
He was really good.
Okay, last but not least, everybody's favorite quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, a free agent for the first time in his career, is visiting the Steelers practice facility this Friday to meet with the coaches. Will Rodgers be a Steeler after? Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. I think they're going to take him. I think they're going to get him. I think that Mike Tomlin thinks that they've got a strong enough culture to insert him into it.
Yeah. No McAfee show, though?
I don't know. I realize they pay him a lot of money to do that, but at a certain point, it's not necessary for Rodgers to do it. I realize that I'm not the guy that's turning down whatever cash that they're giving him, but how badly does Aaron Rodgers want to try to win a championship? It's a bad division to go play in if you want to do that, but it's decent roster. I mean, your options are pretty limited, so I think they will sign him. We'll see.
We shall see.
That's it for Take It or Leave It here on this Friday. Our Friday show is brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Get on by and get a po' boy. Fantastic po' boys over there at Cork's. Jumbo, Gulf, shrimp, crispy fried catfish. Awesome on that po' boy bread. You can drive through or eat in at their newly renovated dining room there on Government between Foster and Jefferson. Go see our friends at Cork's today. Check out the menu, corksfishandshrimp.com. That's it for us here on this Friday. If you missed any of the show, catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. Just search Hunt Palmer Show. Matt's about to drive you home on After Further Review. We're back Monday, same time, same place on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972.